Here's how we can tune our hammock for an optimal lay with the ridgeline and the continuous loop. Okay, so here's our continuous loop. Normally we would just have it through the sewn channel and then cinch tight like that. And then the continuous ridgeline, fixed ridgeline, we would just go over the continuous loop, and now the gathered ends of the hammock are controlled at a certain length, so it has a specific type of lay. So the gathered ends can't move far away from each other. But you can tune the lay of your hammock by doing this. So instead of installing it right there, we're going to open the continuous loop and install it onto one leg of the continuous loop like this, and then go back, put the continuous loop back. All right, so now when you set your hammock up, you're going to have tension on this side from your suspension and a little bit of tension from your ridgeline. And as you can see, this is an exaggerated view. It'll look a lot different with weight in it. But the ridgeline is kind of pushing on this and taking the gathered end and making it be more prominent over on this side. So if you imagine the straight line of your hammock suspension, there's a continuous loop, there's your ridgeline up above your head. Your gathered end has more material on this side than it does on this side. This side, if your feet or head are over here, will feel like it has a bit of a pocket. Now when you're hanging in your hammock, gravity is going to take all of this stuff and put it down, and it will not look like you see right here. It'll look a lot different. It'll get all tucked in there because of the weight and everything. And your ridgeline only has a little bit of force. Most of the force is over here at your continuous loop. So it's not going to like pull everything apart or anything like that. It's just going to hold it open a little bit. It's going to give a little bit of opening force on the continuous loop, and it's going to push some of the gathered end. And you can even help it a little bit by going like this. Say this side of the hammock was where your feet are and you're getting like calf ridge a little bit. You could push some fabric over here, close it up, and then... But what if you wanted to flip it to the other side? That's easy. You just take the end of your continuous loop, put it through the spliced loop of your fixed ridgeline, and now it's gonna apply gentle pressure to this leg instead. So if you're trying to put more material on that side, you could quickly do it. And now also, if you just want to go back to the standard setup where the ridgeline puts force on the main part of your continuous loop, you can just pull it up like this and then flip a little loop into it, and then let that loop go over. See what I'm doing here? I just created a half turn, and now that half turn will squeeze down onto the main part, and you'll go back to perfectly equal and very, very tight cinch on your gathered end right here. So it's easy to swap between the three different possible ways. And in a previous video, I was showing you guys how to shorten the ridgeline by adding lark's heads to these. You can do that too. You can shorten this guy up a little bit. You can take that half turn that I did and do like 2 half turns before you put your loop through. If you have enough, you could do a half turn like this and flip it down into another half turn. Now I can't get through with this one because I have this little button, but you could take your continuous loop and pass it through that half turn like I'm doing right here. And let me go ahead and finish this so you can see. But say we did that, as you can see, we used up more of the ridgeline. And so you can also do that trick that I showed you before that uses just these legs. You can also do that with this. So you got one side, pull the fabric that way. You can easily swap it over, put the loop through, and now it's going to pull the fabric the other way. And then if you just want to go back to the normal setup, pull your loop along here, and then flip a loop into it, and then pass your continuous ridgeline, and now you're back to probably the factory setup for most hammocks. Although, even though it does cinch down now, it's going to cinch down super tight. You still have a little bit of the effect because the loop of the ridgeline is going to be over here, And so if you do try to move some fabric around before you get that tight cinch, it will tend to occupy a different space. So let me do a quick drawing just to kind of give you guys a better visual. So say this is your ridgeline. Here's your gathered ends of your hammock. The ridgeline is creating the hammock from going out too long. Here's your continuous loops, say, right here. And so by taking the ridgeline and doing what we did, we're basically kind of moving the fabric that's inside over here or over here. So the line of your fabric is more asymmetrical compared to the imaginary line created by your suspension. So like in this scenario, we moved the continuous loop over that way a little bit. In this scenario, we moved it that way. So if your feet were over here and your head was over here, you would notice a little bit more space in this hammock than if your feet were over here and over there, and vice versa. Also, if we put fabric up to this side more and up to this side more, and you were using this as a lounge, you would notice like space at the back where your back was on your hammock, and you would notice down here it would feel a little snugger, like where your feet and your butt rest, because of the moving the fabric in that direction. Yeah, so that's just the easy way to tune the end of your hammock, just placing the ridgeline at different places on your continuous loop. And don't be too worried. Like it seems like the ridgeline might just pull the whole loop loose, because of the pressure the ridgeline's putting on there. But that would only happen if you had your hammock strung up between trees that were very far apart, and you had a suspension set up where the ridgeline was like straight, here's your ridgeline and here's your suspension going straight across. Normally your suspension is like this, and then your hammock would be down here. So there's not a lot of power coming from your ridgeline. All of the force that is closing up that ridgeline loop, your ridgeline is not going to be able to open that. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.